Load shedding expected this Easter weekend, but there has been a flurry of meetings pertaining to the state of Eskom. Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa says government is taking steps to address the utilities' leadership and governance challenges. He met with representatives of business and labour at the union buildings today. Ministers and deputy ministers who are members of the Interministerial Committee also attended. Ramaphosa reported back on government's 5-point plan to address electricity challenges, while proposals were received from business and labour groups. Meanwhile, the Finance Ministry responded to an earlier report saying that there are in fact no plans to overhaul Eskom's board. Now, this all comes after investor firm Nomura wrote a note to global investors saying that given the corporate governance and leadership crisis at Eskom, the possibility of a brownout, which could see up to 90% of the grid collapse and have to be brought back online over a period of weeks, is now more significant. Well, one of the proposals received by the Deputy President today was from the Federation of Unions of South Africa, FEDUSA, the second largest union umbrella body. We're joined by General Secretary Dennis George. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening.
What was said today?
Looks precisely that we raised the issue with government that we are very concerned that it could be a total collapse of the system. And secondly, this blackout, could actually, cause, serious problems to our economy, but also to people and to businesses, and that's the reason why we felt that it is quite critical that we've communicated with the Deputy President during last week and that he responded quickly to have a meeting with us today.
Have you been worried about this for some time, like some people have, or do you agree with Nomura? And I think the note is important if they're speaking to global investors, that this possibility is now greater because of the leadership challenges. So we don't have, we have an acting CEO, 3 main execs are acting, an acting chairman, and what they're saying is, how can anybody make a firm decision in this environment? But
we warned government today that this thing of a lack of leadership and corporate governance is also not only restricted to Eskom. It's across the economy at all parastatals. And we raised this thing with government to say, look, man, how do you allow a chairperson to now put the CEO and 3 other executives on a leave or special leave or whatever you want to call it? Who is going to run the company? A chairperson can't run a company because he's a chairperson of the board.
What was Cyril Ramaphosa's response?
Government responded to us, quite emphatically that, matters is under control. And that's the reason why they moved very quickly to get an acting chairperson. But I think the system needs stability. We need to get people to gain experience, and the people that we have placed there, was quite competent to run Eskom. And we've got the plan B also up our sleeve from FEDUSA's side. We even suggested to the government to say, look, if things come to sharply, we must ask the previous CEO, Brian Damas, that has been with Eskom for more than 20 years. He started as an engineer, to ask him to come back and to come and assist in this time of a crisis. But the message that we want to send out to everybody there, that the system is under control. Our fears of a total blackout, it was, I'm told that we must be part of the war room situation so that we can get the right information. And for us also, the issue of the downgrading of the ratings of Eskom. Now, we've met with Standards & Poor's as FEDUSA and with Finch and explained to them the current situation. But it comes back to the same issue, the lack of leadership. And that matter must be addressed very quickly. And it's not only just a lack of leadership in government, there's also a lack of leadership in trade unions.
Tell me a bit more about the response. Does he say, look, just calm down, government is on this issue, we now have confidence in these people who are acting in these positions?
Yeah, look, what's happening is the Deputy President have also now brought in additional advisors for him. And what, a person that was previously on the board, our colleague Bobby Govt, is advising him, and other people are also, on a 24-hour basis. And they've also deployed these senior executives, to go to the generation side of the system and to not sit in the offices, because that is the coal face and that's where you have to be amongst the people to ensure. But the other thing is also the labor relations. Last week we had a situation where the system had to be stopped because of labor relations issues. And that's why FEDUSA also made a proposal to government, which is based on the German model, that your state-owned enterprises and listed companies must have trade union representatives on the board. Because to have trade union representatives on the board, you can address the issue and the fundamental issue of the relationship.
Before it lands up in a one-day strike.
Before it ends up in a strike. And that is something that is quite positively received by them.
Let's come back to what government is doing and the to and fro today.
Yes.
You're talking about these advisors to the Deputy President. Isn't it getting very complicated now? So there's the war room, there's these academics and business advisors to the war room and to the President. There's an interministerial committee. Public Enterprises is on this, the Minister herself, the Treasury talking as well. It sounds like too much is going on.
Oh yes, no, I agree with you. I think, it's something like too many chefs in the kitchen, is going to spoil the broth. What our
Was
argument...
that concern raised by business and labour?
I mean, government even wanted to invite us up to come to sit on this particular war room technical task team. We said, look, it's getting a little bit too much. We don't mind to receive the information, but I think what we want to do over the short term, and that is to work on the demand side. You see, we need to create now space for Eskom to reduce the demand for electricity. And there's lots of measures, and we're going to launch our own campaign as Producer, where we want to reduce the demand on electricity so that we can give the system a bit time, until June month, when the other generation comes online. And that is going to be quite critical, and that's practical things that we can do.
What about the supply side? And I wonder if you can put this in simple terms, because I think a lot of South Africans hear that there are companies who could provide electricity to the grid. We have these independent producers, so we talk about co-generation along with Eskom or feeding into the grid. Is government being pressured to explain why there's not more?
Yeah, look, let me just come with the independent power producers. You must remember these people's costs that they are charging. It's way more than what it costs Eskom to generate. So the economics around that is quite important to understand, because Eskom's price is way lower than them. But what we need to do is we need to manage the demand on the system, so that we can, and that is something that we can do practically.
How could you get workers involved in that?
Yes, no, that's the reason why we say, a lot of firms must have an electricity plan to say, look, how do they reduce their current electricity consumption? And there's the new technology that can be introduced, and they can generate their own electricity for own use also. But the important thing is that South Africans can deal with this problem. We're quite comfortable that the situation is under control at the moment. And we need to work together.
Let me push you on that, because I believe that was spoken about today, that business, labour, government, everybody should work to try and restore confidence.
Yes.
And you're making those noises. Do you really have confidence that what government says, well, they're saying different things, but yesterday the minister said that Eskom is on a firm footing, that we'll be okay. Do you buy that?
Yes, not only do I buy it, but we also been asked to meet with the rating agencies, because the rating agencies want to make sure what they talk to government, they want to get us to confirm, that social partnership is real. There is a deep commitment to work together, and this is something that the problem that we can solve. I mean, there's far more difficult challenges that we have, in South Africa, that we must also solve at the same time, like high unemployment and inequality. And so
you're willing to go and vouch that government story is correct?
Yes,
if these agencies
I'm quite comfortable. I mean, the Deputy President even gave his telephone number to us and said, guys, you can phone me anytime that you need. So the relationship is actually much more stronger. What we need to do is to take that relationship now to company level. You see, where a company and could involve trade union representatives on their board, so that you can now start to develop a common vision where parties work together for the benefit of everybody. You see, the situation currently now is the system works only for those at the top, and it only works for the CEO. So as long as they can get the big paycheck and they can get the most benefits, they don't actually care much for the workers at the bottom.
I think business is also suffering. Dennis, I think everybody has raised concerns about load shedding, but it sounds like you are feeling good after today's meeting, if we can leave it there.
We feel confident that the problem is being addressed. We understand the problem, and we can take the process forward where we can, you know, try to focus our mind on other more bigger problems that we have and that we can address quickly.
All right, thank you so much for your time this evening. That was Dennis George from FEDUSA, the Trade Union Federation. The Office of Public Enterprise Minister Lynn Brown, meanwhile, has denied that she is working on replacing the board of Eskom. Business Report today quoted Finance Minister Nhlanhla Nene saying the minister was working on appointing a full board for Eskom and not just a replacement of individuals, but the full quorum. A Brown spokesperson, Lionel Ardendorf, says the minister's interest lies in filling the recent vacancies on the board rather, and that includes that of the chairman and not replacing the board as a whole as reported. A short while ago, Treasury released a statement with a similar explanation saying Nene's remarks were misinterpreted. A brand new board could endanger Eskom's credit rating. The suspension of 4 top execs was the final straw that led to rating agency Standard & Poor's slashing Eskom's long-term rating to BB+. That's below investment grade.